Ain't no need of y'all looking at me like that, because some of you have said that very same expression. And the text teaches us that at a certain point in our life, foolishness should not be a part of our makeup. Listen, I mean, it's one thing to be foolish in our younger years, but when life age transitions us, surely we should be transitioning in our maturity. And the maturity that is supposed to shape us is the Word of God. Since I told you that, let me validate myself. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11, when I was a child, I spake as a child. When I understood as a child. I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. Please hear me this morning. This is not just for men. It also touches women. This is vital, because when the older become stable, then we can help make the younger generation stable. So watch the text, because when sound doctrine is used to address the aged, it also teaches us how to address the aging. I ain't making it up. Notice verse 4. In verse 4 and verse 6, it touches the aging. In verse 4, it says young women are to be admonished. In verse 6, it says young men are to be exhorted. If we read this correctly, sound doctrine helps the age of the church and society to train the aging of the church and society. The aged, mature, godly woman is called to admonish the young woman. The young women that are being referred to here are those that are not as mature and not as seasoned in life. And the operative word here in verse 4 is the word admonish, which is a Greek word that means to encourage and to advise. Listen, it carries the sense of instructing and teaching someone to think and live wisely in self-control over their passions and desires. Notice within verse 4 and verse 5, the older women are to teach the younger women how a godly and desirable woman is to live her life. Listen, their teaching are things like learning how to love their husbands, love their children, learning how to be discreet, learning how to be chaste, teaching them how to be homemakers, good, even obedient to their own husbands. Hear me now. The implication is that mature women have some valuable knowledge to share with younger women, and if received, have the ability to help you grow your life. Y'all gonna make this hard, but I'm finna pick you up in just a moment. In the time in which this text was written, it was the Jewish and Greco-Roman culture that their ideology was that it was a shame for a woman to be single. But the stress that we see here is that for a woman, their crowning virtue in that time was for the woman to love their husbands and to nurture their children. Now, I know that we live in a time that men and women don't want children and some don't want a husband, but there should be a desire to want to know how to navigate life in a godly way.